Mark, safely through to the next round. How would you evaluate today's performance?
I would evaluate it. I'm pleased that we're through. I think we did enough to get through in the end. I think the players deserve an awful lot of credit because of the way that they went after the game. It's a difficult place to come, and it was difficult today because there were less people in the building than I've ever seen before, which is a worry. I know it's expensive, and I know there's a lot of things to the weather and the expense and people's bills and things are going up, and it's not great. But it is a worry for all of those reasons. So thank you to everybody that came, especially the people that travelled all the way from Stoke. And thankfully we were able to get a win for them. It wasn't easy. We make it difficult for ourselves at times, but then there's a discrepancy between how much experience there is in certain positions and how little there is in others. And you could see that for both teams, where we kept turning the ball over. Both teams kept giving it back to each other. And when we got into good positions, certainly towards the end, we ended up open, and they were a threat on a counter-attack, which is what, it became a bit of a basketball game at the end. But again, the first part of it, you've got to give everybody an enormous amount of credit because we still went after them. We still won the ball back high up the field. We still won a penalty. TC stuck the ball in the back of the net for 1-0. What you don't want then to happen is then we drop and concede ground. We didn't necessarily do that, but what we did do is we kept giving the ball back to them. We got into some good positions. Ball speed's got to be quicker. We've got to find that match. But this is a process. This is something we've got to get better at. And the more work that we do, the better we will become. And people will understand it a little bit more. People have got to talk a little bit more as well because we're too quiet. And again, a consequence of mobile phones, young players and all of those things, but we need to get that out of them. Not being afraid to make any mistakes because that's not what it's about. Everybody makes them. It's how we learn from them. And we learned from the fact that we know we can get after teams. And then Niall did what he did. He went and pressed, won the ball early, went round the goalkeeper, stuck it in the back of the net after running through 20, 30 metres to go. And to keep a calm head and put us into the next round. Emre Tezgel came on. I thought he did really well. I thought in terms of how he got hold of the ball and how he brought other people into it, and he was secured the ball for us at a time when we kept giving the ball back to them. We found spaces for Solsadibi to try and be more effective for us. So when he came in as a 6, we started to lose ground, and they started to find space. It's difficult because they've got good players. Moved Wouter Burger and Baker alongside each other, so Lewis and Wouter played together in that position, and then we tried to move Sol 1 in front, but again it was difficult for him to get anywhere near anyone, and then eventually we just swapped Moran. Andy Moran went inside one again, so the middle of the park was then a little bit better, and Sol found a little bit more found a little bit more ability to go and affect it for us in that position off that right hand side in front of Junior. So much so that he made an extra man in midfield from time to time, and it's just a heavy touch. So he looked probably a little bit nervous, and the fact that he's chasing himself because he's trying to get into the game, and that's what it looked like to me. But it's a learning thing for him. We'll go through all his clips next week. We'll have a look at that and see if we can get him moved further on, in terms of his head and how he responds the next time he plays. But it is a tough school. It's difficult because you've got a lot of good players out there, and if that ball moves quickly and they run, then you've got to stick with a run. You've got to get pressure on. You've got to know when that happens. You've got to know when to stop. Cut things off. You've got to know when to stay with runners. And then in possession of the ball, you've got to be really calm. So it's when it changes into possession and you've got that the ability to sort of have the touch when you receive the ball. So you're not still uptight. So the ball bounces off you and goes into space where you're now making it a fight ball. And sometimes we did that. Junho was the same. Got into some good positions and tried to shoot through bodies where there's no way you can shoot, but. Obviously, we had a run down the left-hand side from Gucci, and he played it blind. He just played it blind instead of being able to see what's what, because he goes and he moves their man. It gives him the line on the inside to go and get a shot away. Didn't take that one. He put it out of play. Next one, he tries to play opposite side. I think Andy Moran had made a run through, and he tried to play it there. Man stepped across and just came away with it really easily. And it was those things that became a little bit more frustrating where we got into good positions, didn't make the best use of it. But again, it's time that we need to work with him to make that better.
In terms of the winning goal from Niall Ennis, how impressed were you by it? Because he had a lot to do.
I'm really impressed with it because he's been brave. What we didn't want to do, and we did it. In areas where you don't want to, we start to step backwards instead of step forwards. He stepped forwards and he won the ball, and that's what you get if you're brave. Win the ball back. If you don't win the ball back, you can always run. But if we're brave, go and win the ball high up the field, and then he ran with it. He kept it away from Luke O'Nien, and Simon Moore came out. He kept his head really, really calm, went round him and then put it into an empty net. Really, really good finish.
Lewis Baker started today, having been recalled from Blackburn Rovers. What did you make of his performance?
I thought Lou was good. I thought he was calm. I think he's coming back into it. He's finding his feet again. He knows his teammates, but it's not easy when you come back. You've had one training session and then you have to play for 120 minutes, and he's done it really well. So, again, played in different areas of the pitch. He will get better. The delivery, we've got to work on that because there's clearly a disconnect between the man that's playing the ball, so Bates in that occasion, and then where he's aiming for and the space that he's aiming for. We've got to get that going as well, and we've just not had enough time to be able to do that. Again, it's work on the pitch. 4
games unbeaten now for the side. What can we take from today's performance going into the next match?
We're through into the next one, so this is different. It's a cup game, but it gives us a little bit more momentum and a bit more belief as to what they're doing. Again, we'll work really hard into next week because it's different again. Level goes up again because we're over at West Brom, and West Brom are a good side. No manager yet, but they're doing a decent job, Brunty and the staff there. So we've got to be ready for that.
The draws tomorrow. Is there anyone in particular that you'd like?
Not at the moment. As long as we can have a really good go. If it's a home draw, brilliant.